at the further review. Does a great job. Awesome dude. And, man, he always tells the truth. Always tells it like it is. Matt, a little different scenario. Tennessee is a favorite going into this game, man. It's been a while since it's been that way between Tennessee and LSU in football.
I'm not surprised, man. I think Tennessee's the better team and should be favored in this one. See how it plays out Saturday, though. It's good to talk to you guys, man. Thanks for the invite.
Man, you sound. Where's the energy, Matt? You sound down, man. You okay?
No, I'm good, man. I'm ready
sure?
for LSU Tennessee. I was just looking at your Twitter, Swain. I saw y'all had Gerald Riggs on. You had to throw out 2005. I mean, if you want me to come with that energy, I could talk about Jamarcus going through the air in 06. I could talk about Jonathan Zenon's pick six in 07. I could talk about T-Bob saving the day because Dooley has 13 dudes on the field in 2010. I could talk about a 99-yard drive in 2011 when LSU didn't have to throw a pass. I mean, what you want me to explain?
That's the Matt I was looking for. There we go, Matt. There we go.
You want energy? Here's your energy, bro. I was going to dip my toe in the water. You want a cannonball in the deep end? Let's roll, Swain.
Yeah, man. I was waiting for that, man. I was waiting for that, man. I love that. Like how we send Paul Maneri on a retirement tour in baseball. yeah. I got comebacks for you, man.
So irrelevant. You've been so irrelevant in football for so long. You have to talk baseball.
I know.
When LSU is the greatest program in college baseball history.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, how did that feel there, Swain?
That was a punch in the gut. I'm just gonna smile, act like it didn't hurt. One thing about LSU, Matt, and I've said this all week long. I've noticed this season. It doesn't matter how much LSU is down. Doesn't matter what goes wrong in the course of a football game early. Those boys fight. They continue to fight and claw and scratch, and it may not look good on offense, but defensively they're athletic, and they're going to keep competing for 60 minutes.
Now, that's true, and they have buy-in, and that's something they did not have a year ago. Last year, LSU went to Ole Miss and got punched in the mouth and quit. Everybody except Damone Clark when he had like 22 tackles that day. They went to Kentucky last year, and they quit in the second half. Like, they quit on Ed Ogeron a year ago. This team, against Florida State, Mississippi State, and Auburn, they have been down double digits in all three of those games against Power Fives, and they have rallied and won two of them and almost, pulled it off against Florida State. I don't think they have that same luxury this weekend, given what Tennessee's offense is. You dig yourself too deep of a hole. I don't know that you're trying to play a game where you match Tennessee score for score. This offense just really isn't built for that. But that's because Brian Kelly even said it yesterday. Because he was asked the question, how do you feel about your team through 5 games based on what the expectation was? And I'm paraphrasing, but he said, the season I'd never really thought about in terms of wins and losses. And I believe him. I mean, of course, you're at LSU, and the expectation is to win, and they want to win. But what he's doing right now is resetting a culture which had just eroded in Baton Rouge. And buy-in is big, and he's got it from this team.
Why do you think, Jayden Daniels is hesitant with just letting the ball loose and letting it rip? I mean, he hasn't ever in his career had the type of receivers that he has the luxury of throwing to until he got to LSU. Yeah. What's up with the hesitation? What do you think is going on with the confidence there?
And we haven't talked to Jayden in a few weeks, but I think I think it's probably, if I had to guess, again, I'm psychoanalyzing a little here. I don't know this, but my guess is he was probably just a little snake bitten from last year. He was in a terrible situation. Look, his freshman year at Arizona State, if y'all watched him play, he was special. I mean, he threw 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. He was throwing to Brandon Ayuk, of course, became a first-round draft pick, so he had a stud receiver. But look at what's happened at Arizona State the last 2 years. I mean, Herm got fired, and they had accusations of people on staff giving out game plans. I mean, their best players all transferred. I think Jayden kind of had to do it himself, and was probably a little careless with the football, and so he did turn it over last year. So he's, in an effort to sort of revert to the mean, he's probably gone a little too far on the conservative side. But he through 5 games, he has not thrown an interception, and I think Brian Kelly wants him to find that balance, though, where you can be aggressive but not reckless, and that's probably going to be a bit of just a process throughout this season. I mean, guys, if y'all watch them when they run at the end of a half or at a 2-minute offense, when they run tempo, and you could just see the athleticism take over. It's there and it pops. But man, when they're plotting a little bit, it's at times been tough to watch this year. There's no doubt.
Matt Moscona is with us on the air every afternoon on ESPN Baton Rouge, Tennessee, going to LSU this weekend. And on the other side, Matt, Tennessee's going to try to go as fast as it can offensively. What do you think that means against LSU's defense? What have you learned about that side of the ball under Matt House so far this season?
Yeah, I think so. So Matt House came from he was y'all probably remember he was the DC at Kentucky. The year they had Josh Allen, with 21 sacks or whatever that freakish year he had was. He went to the Chiefs, and he's been their linebackers coach, and I think he's back in college because he wants to be a college head coach, and this is just his best path. He has been impressive. If I were to tell you my biggest takeaway coming out of fall camp, it was that I thought the defense was going to be better than many thought it would be. And their ability to adjust in game has been really impressive. They shut out Auburn in the second half. They allowed, I think, only a field goal to Mississippi State in the second half. They obviously shut down Florida State to allow them to come back in that game. I think the first month, Josh, has kind of been him learning his personnel and who he wants where, and it feels like they've kind of figured that out. They lost Mason Smith for the year. If you don't know that name, he's a big freakish defensive lineman who is probably going to be the potential to be the first defensive lineman off the board in his draft. He was a 5-star number 1 defensive lineman in the country. He tore his ACL in the first defensive series of the season. So they're a little thin on the defensive line, but they're talented in their front seven. It's LSU's defense is good, and I would probably submit to y'all it's going to be the best defense Tennessee's faced so far this year. I still don't think there's anybody that really is going to stop Tennessee's offense. I think their approach is, can they be opportunistic, get stops, and create turnovers to limit the scoring opportunities for Tennessee. I think that's got to be the approach this week.
Matt Moscona, 104.5, Baton Rouge here with us, Josh and Swain. Man, I know how you Cajuns think. I know y'all want the game to be at 8 p.m. so you can get all liquored up during the day and be obnoxious and be all rude and loud. I know that's what you want.
What's wrong with that?
But that ain't what you're going to get. You're going to get an 11 a.m. game, Matt. How do you think the LSU fans will handle that, and what kind of atmosphere are you expecting?
Okay, so two parts to this. Number one, it is a bummer that it's an 11 a.m. game. If you're Tennessee, you love it. But they're just – I think y'all would agree with this, guys. In this day and age of college football, where we went through this massive run of stadium expansion. I mean, y'all in Michigan were in a pissing contest every year trying to see who could have the biggest stadium. So y'all get it. But it's like nobody fills 100,000-seat stadiums anymore. Not for every game. It just doesn't happen. The home view anywhere. The home viewing experience is too good. You can watch every game. Like we all know it, right? Traffic, parking, costs, all of it. So there are so few opportunities to actually have like a moment. You know what I mean? Like a game where it's going to be packed and full throat and feel like that. And this would have been that if it was at night. Like it would have been a really special environment. And it's not going to be that at 11 a.m. It'll be a good environment. They'll fill it or close to it. And look, LSU played Florida last year at 11 a.m. and they certainly didn't have 100,000 people there, but it was a really, really good environment for college football. And I think it will be on Saturday morning. It's just not going to be what it could have been. I mean, like guys, I don't know if y'all remember the 2000 game, but I mean that was an overtime game. Nick Saban's first year here, LSU you beat Tennessee in overtime. Rohan Davey to Robert Royal, and I mean that one of those moments. Like you had the potential for that type of atmosphere, but you're not going to get it. But it'll be a good atmosphere. I mean, it's still a top 10 team coming in, and people are excited about it for sure. And LSU and Tennessee. I mean, you guys haven't been down here for more than a decade, So I think people get a little extra juice when they get a chance to see Tennessee on the other sideline.
Matt, there's been quite a Tennessee LSU series considering they don't play that often. So my prediction this week. I don't know who's going to win. My prediction is that it's going to be a weird game. There are going to be like 2 or 3 just banana land plays in this game. What do you think? Probably.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, I think it's, I was thinking about that, and I was, joking with Swain, just only partly joking about the Riggs thing. But it's true. I mean, that was y'all know the history. That was a Monday night after Katrina. Tennessee flew in the day of the game and flew out, and LSU led 21-0, and Rick Clausen led the comeback. You know, it was just there. I do sort of expect that. You know, reference 2000. You know, the 0-1 game in the SEC championship, which I don't know. Is that honest question? Like, is that one of the handful of worst losses for Tennessee? And like, do people think of that way? Because
I think it's the biggest butterfly effect game for Tennessee. Because if Tennessee wins that game, it's the third SEC title in 97, 98, 01 in 5 years, I guess. Then it's a third title. You're playing for a national championship. Probably don't beat Miami, but you got a shot with that defensive line. So yeah, it's always brought up. 01 LSU.
Yeah. Okay. I figure, because it's a big deal here, because that was LSU's first ever SEC championship game, and in the championship game era. So that's a massive, like, program pendulum swinging game here. I didn't know how Tennessee fans thought of it, but so yeah, I mean, of course, I hope we have a great game, and I think we will. I mean, the line is right around a field goal, which I think it should be, and you're probably going to have a close game with two teams with a bunch of talent on it. I mean, y'all want to pick? I mean, I'd pick Tennessee to win the game. I mean, I think LSU probably isn't there yet, but it is in Baton Rouge, and like we said, weird things can happen, and LSU's defense is playing well. So, maybe a ball bounces left instead of right. I think LSU could certainly win the game. It wouldn't surprise me if they did, but I think Tennessee probably does win it, and has a couple of big opportunities with Georgia and Bama ahead of them to see if they can maybe take that step in the East.
If LSU wins, what's going to be the reason why, in your opinion?
So this is my blueprint for LSU. I think, all right, so in a game general, you get 12 offensive possessions. That's just about the average, right? I think if you're LSU, you got to get off the field 6 times, and on 3 of the scoring possessions, you got to limit them to field goals. So if you can limit Tennessee, so that's, 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. They score 30, you score 31. I mean, that's the ticket. I know Tennessee's pass defense is last in the conference. How much of that is just volume of plays they're on the field? I think LSU's receivers certainly have the ability to make plays. Guys, but one of the big storylines here all week is LSU threw for 85 yards against Auburn. Like, it was a struggle. And with that much talent at receiver, it shouldn't be. So if LSU's receivers can get going, I do think they can score 30 in this game. But I think that's how they'll have to win the game. I think if LSU wins, it's going to be like a 34-31 type game. I don't know. Tennessee's not going to play a game in the 20s. It's just not. There's too much talent there. It's just the pace that they go. Hooker is such a good player. I think that's going to be the roadmap for, I think, anybody to beat Tennessee this year. If you're going to do it, you're going to have to win a game in the 30s.
Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge every day. He knows what's going on with LSU. I think that's a good look at how it could play out one way or the other this weekend. Matt, great information. Thanks so much for taking some time to join us today.
Okay, guys. See you.